Welcome back everyone to another Hearts of Iron 4 mod spotlight, and this time, as you can see by the title and the fact that the whole bloody game is in Russian, we're going to Russia. So this is Zeitgeist. It's as you can see from the title, it's Russian black ice. Now why is that? Well, there's a lot of stuff in here, that's why. Yeah, essentially the one problem with this is that I will tell you right from the start is that this mod will not get translated into English. So unless you говоришь по-русски, or or particularly masochistic and want to play with like normally all this unique stuff. Yes, all this unique stuff, we'll get to it, would have just it's like unlocalized lines. So unless you're willing to put up with that, and I personally wouldn't, then this mod is outside of bounds. But yeah, it's just gigantic. There's so much stuff. I just wanted to show it because, I don't know, I thought it would be interesting to show like what this Russian modding community apparently is up to. And the only reason I knew about this is that it came out on the Steam Workshop, but I think from the comments on the mod page, it kind of seems like it was being developed, like, in a parallel setting. Maybe like, I don't know, maybe there's some game forums where there's just a bunch of these weird, crazy Russian mods. Definitely you could like look for it on Russian Facebook, which is Vkontakte VK, but I don't know, whatever. Anyway, what is this mod? It's a basically total overhaul of the standard game. Some parts of it are actually great. Some parts of it, I think, are a little bit, they need rethinking, to say the least. So, it's just 1936 Hearts of Iron 4, as you'd expect. No real map changes anywhere or anyhow, because its idea is to take what it's there and just make it, deeper, you could say. And essentially, well, there's also like a few new releasable countries, especially in Eastern Europe, but we're not going to take a look at them. One problem that you're going to notice from the start is the fact that they don't have a uniform kind of graphic style. So obviously there's like the leader portraits for the advisors and stuff. They're all like all the new ones, which it's good that there's new advisors, but all the new ones are just photos. And I'm not sure if some countries will, for example, some countries also have new generals and they all have photos, just black and white. So the problem with that is that you either take what you already have in the game and then you turn it into a photo. So if I want to have new leaders and I don't want to go through the trouble of making portraits for all of them, then I'm gonna find a photo of Zhukov and replace the portrait with the photo. So yeah, that's the idea. Unfortunately, that wasn't done. Same for the advisors, and then you have a bunch of different styles of icons, although, well, most of them are uniform, but yeah, some of them are of a lesser quality than the others, some of them are of a better quality, some of them are in one style, for example, this corruption level. Some of them are in a completely different one, such as this media. Anyway, so what is new in the whole laws stuff? So obviously there's new types of advisors, although most of them are just the same, except they're for different ideologies. For example, Russia is supposed to have a fascist and democratic path, so they have, instead of having to take Lavrenti Beria, which can only be taken for if you're communist, as a, well, no, let's find someone else. For example, for the silent workhorse, who do you have? Blin. Does the communist even have a silent workhorse? Okay, Jan Gamarnik, who wasn't killed by Stalin yet. So instead of having to take Jan Gamarnik, you can take, if you're in the democracy business, you can take, where are you? Damn it, this is more difficult than I expected. This is for neutrality. Well, I guess if you're neutral, you're going to take Boris Feldman. And if you want a ideological, I forgot even what that's called, ideological crusader, right? Here it's just called idea fighter, something like it. Instead of Beria, you're taking, if you're democratic, you're taking Pavel Milyukov. So yeah, that's just that. And different countries have different leaders and different advisors. Then there is corruption. So there's corruption level, which I'm assuming goes up if you don't have the sufficient anti-corruption legislation, which is this one. Right now we have a cruel, cruel anti-corruption fight, and that costs political power, but I'm guessing this reduces corruption. Then there's Система должна научиться прощать. The system needs to learn how to let go, essentially. And in this kind of thing, you can see down there, you get free corruption points every 60 days. And once you get a certain amount of corruption points, you go up a corruption level. Then there's other types of things. For example, if you're a commie and you have taken the NKVD as Russia, you can say the NKVD works in anti-corruption, and yeah, that reduces corruption more than this cruel anti-corruption activities, and it costs less. So I guess the NKVD is efficient. And there is economics. I tried to say it like a Russian because I'm reading it in Russian, but that's just, yeah, just bear with me. There's the various types of planned economy, plan with elements of cooperation, which I have no idea what that means, war communism, plan with market, elements of market. Then there's fully planned economy. Then if you are a not commie, you can take, well, there's also the Chinese, sorry, not Chinese, the Keynesian model, which, the only requirement is that you're not a commie. If you're not a commie, you can also take corporatist model, so the state corporatist, and for some reason there's Teddy Roosevelt in the picture, I don't know. Liberal model, this is a weird name, it's like development dictatorship, like periphery development dictatorship, or rather, yeah, no, periphery development dictatorship. I have no idea what that is, but if you're in Asia, you can take that. Oh no, wait. Одно из этих условий должно выполняться. Столичный регион не на континенте Азия, не на континенте Африка, не на континенте Южная Америка, не на континенте... So you need to be in Europe. What? No, but like... No, I think that text is bugged, and you need to be in Asia, Africa, South America, or the Near East, Ближний Восток, so like Middle East. Economic activity, and then there's like open door economy, which is just you let everyone invest in you and you get more resources. This goes into this, the sort of economic cycle, and you can either be sort of growing, having a boom, and this obviously gives you bonuses to your pretty much every economic indicator. Stagnation, sort of just regular. It says economy without crisis over here, so that's just, it doesn't do anything, which is about the same as stagnation. Then there's crisis and depression, which is worse. This is different depending on your economic model. So growth, if you're in a state planned model, is less effective than if you are in a liberal or just standard economic model. So you can see that, like, boom with a liberal economic model is 30% to your 30% plus production, 30% plus dockyard output, 30% plus construction speed, and 30% plus восстановление фабрик. Скорость восстановления. Oh, right. I think that's factory conversion. Anyway, if you're just normal, then that's 20%, and if you're planned, that's just 10%. That's offset by the fact that in these decisions, there's a category that's political economy, right? Yeah. And you have these decisions that you can take to improve your economic cycle. Most of them are easier to take, or they're cheaper if you are with the planned economy. So that's sort of the drawback. Like, it's easier to stay in a growth cycle, but it's just like, you know, not as effective. Then there's just this, you know, the mobilization and the export, which is just normal. And there is actually there's agriculture. So there's essentially the type of agriculture. If you're a Gami, it's collective agriculture, kolkhozy, which is like collective farms. Then there is like subsistence agriculture. There's like private farms, and then there's how do you even say this in English? It's like landlordism in a way. It's like big. Is there even a word? Latifundismo. Yeah, no, this is just like big landlords. Then there's export or import of food, which goes into these resources that we'll take a look into very quickly. There's army rations. So obviously, if you give more rations, you consume more food, but you are more effective. And then there is the food situation. It's either normal, great, good, or there's hunger. And that really destroys your stability, which unfortunately doesn't really do anything, but well. And there's a resource that's like reserves or stockpiles, and you can see that you're like, why are there so many resources? If you know the periodic table of elements, it's actually relatively easy to understand what this is. So this is, yeah, I think that's coal, right? Yeah, that's coal. Then there is titanium. Is that even yeah, titanium, nickel, copper, zinc, molybdenium, and then uranium. And all of these have obviously effect on what they're technically supposed to do, like IRL. And I do not know what those things really do, because I'm not a chemistry person, and I'm not an engineer, so I do not know what any of this does. Well, I kind of know what that does. So like, for example, if you have no coal, your factories are shit. And if you have a lot of coal, then you produce faster. That's just pretty standard, and that's dependent on, again, these things, which we'll take a look into soon. This is why I'm calling this the Russian black ice. And there's social sphere, there's production, which obviously changes depending on your political order in a way, yeah. Then there's production culture. So, you know, it's like this is expensive to change, but if you do, then you get rid of some pretty bad malices if you have like bad production culture, or work ethic, I guess would be the term in English. That's more it's more fitting. There's slavery, because why the hell not? And for some reason you can choose problems with slavery, which just gives you malices, and maybe it gives you events. Who knows? There's education, healthcare, and minority statuses. So you can have equality, discrimination, strong discrimination, genocide, and positive discrimination. What does that even mean, positive discrimination? So it's like, so this gives you stability, manpower in non-core states, cost you political power, minus 5% research, minus 5% factories, factory output, and minus 5% dockyard output. And you need to be either a democracy or a Gami. So is it like, if you're a good boy, we're gonna make you a real non-minority person? Interesting. I'm thinking that that's what that is. Also, yeah, genocide. Minus 20% population growth every month. You need to be a fascist to do that. Interesting. So, yeah, also this mod is not politically correct. Just saying. Then there's culture laws. There's, this is just, yeah, mass media. There isn't really an equivalent in English. It's just means of mass information, sredstva masowych informacji, and that's just propaganda. And there's army, cadre. There's no, you know, there's no word for cadre in English, but whatever. There's officer corps for the army, for the Air Force, and for the Navy, and there's paramilitary organizations, so you can have the Soviet pioneers or like the Boy Scouts or something. And then there's this, which I have no idea, like Osoaviachim, Russia, please. And then there's even the type of horse that your army uses, which is like interesting. And so if you're the Soviets, you can do the Mongol horses or the Budyonny horses, which is a kind of weird historical tidbit. This man over here, Marshal Budyonny, can I even... Yeah, this man actually was a horse breeder and bred a kind of, like, apparently super horse that is still used today, which is, like, weird. Then there's just the normal stuff, you know. This is, like, design companies, and then there's army leadership, and then there's subject laws, which I'm guessing just gives your subjects your laws that you choose, which is, sure, whatever, why not? All of this that you just saw kind of factors into this big thing, which factors into this thing that you see to the top right. So this is the new leader and sort of country mana, you could say. So there's leader health, leader busyness. I'm not sure how to really describe this. It's like how, yeah, just the workload, right? So there's leader workload, leader security, leader popularity, and then there's propaganda points, culture points, and food. So food, you saw. If you don't have food, you get starvation, and that's not good. If you don't have leader health, your leader dies. I'm not sure what happens when your leader dies, but it's, you know, that's what that happens. And that's affected by your security, because, you know, if your security is very low, you're gonna get an event where, like, assassination attempts happen. And yeah, there's a bunch of events on this mod. If you play it, you'll see. I can't obviously show them all, but yeah. Then there's popularity. And like, okay, so if popularity is above 50%, you get more political power. Okay, why not? And then, yeah, the popularity again goes into your stability, political power, and probably also bad events. Then there is the sort of workload, and if that's over 50%, then your health starts to drop according to how much, you know, the workload is. If it's like, you know, close to 100, then it drops really, really quickly. And how do you you know, how do you deal with these like mana points? It is all these decisions. So let's actually close all of them. Let's actually close all of them so that we can see just the sheer amount of decisions that have been added. So there's all of these different categories, and some of them are just you know, the normal ones. So this is the resource like prospecting that is a normal Hearts of Iron. And then there's the special projects over here, although new ones have been added. And then there's propaganda, but new ones have been added. And then the rest is all different. And also, this is kind of funny. There's this decision which tells you what like how much mana you have, and you might be thinking, well, blah, 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 you already have the screen here, but it says up here for gamers with a small monitor. So if the monitor is too small, then it's just there's too much stuff and that goes outside the screen, and so you can see you know, you need to fire an event to know how much points of anything you have. Then there's League of Nations, which has actions against like aggressors. So like you have condemn aggressor. Right now our aggressors are Italy because they're, you know, Ethiopia. There's Disarmament Conference, and you can just get out of the League of Nations, which will make you lose the member of the League of Nations. Then there's the leader actions. Whatever you can imagine a national leader is doing, it's here. One thing that's kind of funny is that you can build like a secret bunker for your leader, and that will increase your security, which is kind of hilarious. And if you do that, you have a 30% chance to gain the trait Paranoid. Although maybe Stalin already has that. No, he just has leader. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. You can even dismantle the bunker. And wait, obvious petite might not mean that. I have no idea what that means. Whatever. Yeah, this is like, there's just so much stuff, and a lot of this is dependent on your political, you know, situation as well. So like, for example, or your just situation in general. Like, for example, this one, like you could say address to the army. Yeah, like yeah, basically address the army. You need to be at war to do this, and you gain the national spirit Naše děla pravaje, which is a pretty famous like line from World War II for Russia. It's like, our deeds are right, and that just gives you, you know, bonuses to fight. But if you're, you know, just in general, you can do address the workers, and that gives you ważna każda detal, which means, I just pronounced that really badly, but yeah, with an English accent, it's like every detail is important, and that's also a kind of known propaganda phrase. So a lot of these are like, if you kind of know about the Soviet Union, you'll understand a lot of these references actually. And yeah, this is just economic bonuses. And all these take time, and if you're doing it, the leader gets you get a like flag, Lider Zanyat, which is like the leader is busy, and you cannot take either of these. So yeah, it's actually pretty well thought out. I love it. It's actually great. Then there's even like big ones like Ознакомиться с современными трудами по экономике, which is like get like caught up with the modern works about economics. So like your leader studies economics, and apparently that makes the country, there's a chance that makes the country, you know, more efficient economically, because you get a trait. Then you get a trait which reduces the research time. It's scholar leader, you can see that on there, Lider Uchoni, and then there is just a chance that nothing happens. So yeah, there's even chances of things happening, which is just like, wow, this is so deep. I have no idea how, like, you know, how much time did this take to make? You can even send your leader to the hospital to gain health back, because why the hell not? You can do visits to other countries. You know, it's just everything. Although these like are not that useful because it's just a +5 bonus, and it decreases your security, obviously, because you know you're going somewhere that's not your country, so security decreases. So I guess if you want to kill your leader, send him on a visit to some country. Then there's political actions. It's just what you'd expect. It's just a standard one. Economic actions. This is what I was talking about earlier, to increase your economic cycle. So like, for example, like if I wanted to, I could just go to bezkrizisная экономика, so like crisisless economics. So if I don't like with this one for some reason, I can just go to this if I am a planned economy. Or like I can increase artificially my economy to a boom. It's like you know, it costs a lot of political power, but I can do that because I'm a planned economy. And then there is just resources, as we already said. There's food production, and there's like food confiscation, which you just get food, but you know, a lot less stability, and that's only if you have war communism. Then there's just requisition food on a normal way, and yeah, that's actually just like acquire. So it costs factories. So I'm guessing, or civilian factories. So I'm guessing that's just you buy it for your like state reserves. And there's Nationalny Prestige, which is actually I haven't seen this in like a neutral country or just a, you know, minor. So this must be, yeah, this must be unique to the Soviet Union. It says like ready a project for the World Expedition Pavilion, like a project pavilion for the 1937 World Expedition, and it unlocks a lot of decisions. Look at that. You see that text down there? That's all decisions, and that's all like, you know, unique stuff. So it's like flavor. Like for example, the project of BM Yofan, who is a person. Oh, the project for the BM Yofan building. It's like, then there's Hot Pavilion Krasiat Ballerie Sculptura. So there's like you know, things about like your, how do you even say that? Your like statues or something. Yeah, man. There's just a bunch of stuff. There's just a bunch of stuff in there. Special projects, and like for example, in the special projects, you can see that there is like things dependent on your technology. And I'm not sure where that is, but yeah, okay. So it's like essentially like you're making your country more fertile, just fertilization. And then there's a bunch of stuff. Let's actually be quick about it. Then there's propaganda, which just gives you a lot of stuff, but it costs your propaganda points that you see over here that you gain by having like a state-sponsored press or whatever. Yeah, propaganda press. You can see that if you hover over this, yeah, we gain 0.3 propaganda points every day due to our laws about the press. And then we can probably gain bonuses for it otherwise. And there's cultural activities, and that's all unique stuff. Look at that. Like the Alexander Nevsky film, we can, you know, shoot that. And that we need 10 culture points to do that. And that's plus 10% war support. Because, like, if you know that film, it's the film about essentially the Russian prince that defeats the Teutonic Knights. So obviously, you know, anti-German. And then there's division recovery rate. There is the the song Katyusha. There's the song The Holy War. You know, there's just a bunch of stuff. And that's obviously unique to the Soviets, but there's different ones for different countries. That's propaganda again. And there's press stuff, like make an interview to the national leader. Решения мирного времени, so decisions for peacetime, like parades and stuff. Army, and yeah, that's, look at that, that's so cool. Look at this. Just, what does this even do? Действие при выборе. Командный ресурс -10. Действует в течение 10 дня. Для принятия этого решения потребуется 10 бла. Okay. I don't know what that does. It doesn't seem to do anything. It says присвоить армии статус ударной. Like status of attack? What does that even mean? I have no idea. Probably some Russian person that can explain what that's supposed to mean to me. And yeah, there's like things for like winter fighting, and there's things to increase your leader skills because, you know, you're spending your army experience through that. There's things to increase your officer corps. So you saw over there these officer corps things. The only way to increase that is by having a lot of army experience. And then there is just, it's like you can give food to other countries and that will make them like you, which is weird. Like I can imagine that if you're, you know, obviously giving food aid to, like, I don't know, Afghanistan, you'd be like, yeah, that's great. Or Iraq, they'd be like, yeah, that's fine. Although, I mean, Fertile Crescent and all, or Manchukuo. But if you're giving food aid to Britain in a normal peacetime, they might be like, yo dog, what the hell? Anyway, so in terms of like countries, there's a lot of focuses that have been changed, like the German one. Yeah, don't be scared of this. This is just a bunch of weird stuff that we'll get to. A bunch of them have been changed. Some of them have been added for minor countries like Albania and Turkey and all that. And yeah, they're okay. Like, I've just glanced over them, but they seem like pretty decent focus trees. They're not, you know, visually all that appealing. Not like something like Kaiserreich would do, but, you know, it works. And they're really big. So I guess, you know, if you want to play for a long time, that's okay. What did we miss in all of this? Nothing. So now we take a look at the research tree and we end this, because this is mostly where everything else is going to be. So, yeah, another reason why this is Russian Black Ice. There's just a million types of equipment, which is just like, oh my god. Some of them kind of make sense, and it's kind of cool that they're in there. Some of them, you know, it's like, oh my god. So there's all these different types of infantry weapons. There's sniper rifles, normal rifles. You can even get AKs at the end. There's submachine guns, light machine guns, heavy machine guns, anti-tank rifles, mortars. There's all these grenades and stuff, and mines. That's actually really cool. It's just passive bonuses. Flamethrowers. This is really cool. Combat armor for assault infantry. And look at that, assault infantry. Yeah, stormtroopers. Airborne. Obviously, Marines and Mountaineers. That's normal, but there's also Jaegers, which are obviously good in forests. Although, like, all these bonuses are much better in the new units than on the old ones. Like, actually, you know, damn, that's some big bonuses. But that's because you need to offset some nasty stuff. For example, the assault infantry is plus 60% at fighting in cities, because why the hell not? And then the rest is just normal stuff. With transport, there's horses, and you can produce horses, and horses are a resource. We'll get to the resources in a bit. Yeah, because why the hell not? That's a really cool icon, by the way. There's obviously some more stuff for cavalry. Horse transport, and horse transport for camels, because why the hell not, I guess. Then there's Trucks, and there's 5 variants for those. This is actually not a mortar, it's a heavy AA, but yeah, heavy AA, anti-tank, rocket artillery, AA, and artillery. There's artillery tractors, APCs, which have 9 variants, you know, those 5 that we saw earlier, then plus flamethrowers, recon, bridge laying, and communications. Motorcycles and bicycles, because why the hell not? Everyone that is supposed to require trucks now can be researched. Every support company, sorry, that requires trucks can now also be sort of used with horses. You can see, so the field hospital can have horse transport. Then there's, of course, this is so Russian. There's blocking detachments, which make you lose more because of trickle-back modifiers, but increase your organization. There's in the armor a bunch of new stuff, like amphibious tanks and flying tanks, because why the fuck not? Then there's a lot of unique ones that aren't shown in here, and we'll see them once we take a look at this. It's like there's so much shit. Thankfully, artillery is not too bad, but it is bad. You can see that there's recoilless rifles, mountain artillery, light field artillery, rocket artillery, heavy field artillery, super heavy artillery, anti-tank, anti-air, and heavy anti-air. I hate heavy anti-air so much. Because you can tell it's just there for people who are, you know, too sexually attracted to flak 88s. That's literally all there is. There's a new land doctrine for bloody hell. It's like a guerrilla warfare kind of doctrine. So it's like Operacji Organicznymi Silami, of organic forces, whatever. Anyway, so it's like all about militia bonuses and bonuses to your tactics that make you like just annoying to fight. Anyway, and there's ships, and there's a bunch of those. Corvettes, frigates, avisos, which I had to look up what these are. They're apparently like kind of small colonial, you could say, frigates. Destroyers, anti-submarine warfare ships, cruisers, both light and heavy. Obviously the battle cruisers and battleships. Then there's monitors, which apparently are ships with, you know, small ships with really big guns, light carriers and escort carriers, and you know, yeah, there's so many. The Air Force tree is, again, surprisingly, you know, compact, usable, and it's just a normal one plus these recon planes, which are, I think, supposed to be on ships. Yeah, but what do they even do? I don't know. Yeah, obviously the description says that they are the eyes and ears of our troops, but I don't know exactly what they do. Авиаштурмовая атака, морская атака, поиск кораблей. Способность обнаружить надводные корабли. Oh. How the fuck did they do that? No, like seriously, how the hell did they do that? Oh, maybe that's always been a stat and I just never realized. No. Yeah, apparently somehow they gave them spotting. What the f- How did they do that? Apparently you can give planes a spotting skill. Okay, whatever. I am proven wrong. Then there's just, you know, all this is the same, and then there's agricultural technologies. Most of them just give you extra food income, and some of them also have other effects, such as there's a 70% chance if you research pesticides that there's minus 10% monthly population gain, which I'm not sure that's how pesticides work, but sure. And some of them actually give you different bonuses. Like, for example, if you research, like, how would you even say? It's crop dusters, essentially. If you research, like, aviation spreading of pesticides, then there's a minus 50% research bonus to light aircraft. If you research tractors, there's bonus to tanks, to research tanks, which is just pretty cool. And then, of course, all of these have effects on what decisions you can take. The animal, like selective breeding techs, because why the hell not, give you bonuses to cavalry, which is like, man, I don't even know. So there's so much stuff. Here we get to this, which is like, oh my god, this is all the resources. Other than the ones that we already saw in terms of the new metals that are around, there's also gold, which it says, like, it's supposed to work with your, essentially, with your currency, but I have no idea because there's no currency reserves, so I don't know. Then there's obviously the uranium. We saw all these before. There's lead, which is supposed to be used when you produce weapons, right? Yeah, lead. And there's wood here. Then there's wood. There's horses and camels, because why the hell not? Chromium is always chromium. Tungsten is always tungsten. Aluminum is always aluminum. And then there is coal. There's textiles, which is for, it says for uniforms, but I don't think uniforms exist. Yeah, no, they don't exist. Thankfully. Thankfully they don't exist, because I hate producing uniforms and boots. They don't make any fucking sense. So at least that's not there. Man, this is just like... And then there's explosives, which is hilarious. Do you need that to produce artillery? Do you need explosives to produce artillery? Yes, you do, which is hilarious. Anyway, how do you get explosives and textiles? You get them by the new factories. And there's also a... I kid you not, this just reads horse factory. I'm not sure like what that's supposed to mean, but yeah, there's textile factories, there's explosive factories, horse factories, and also a like recon school, recon academy, spy school. It says it readies spies. I do not know what you do with spies. Probably there's some decisions that get unlocked. This is just, there's so much stuff in this. It's incredible. And you can see that, like, in the end, you get a bunch of different things that you can equip your division with. From militia to, like, light artillery on motorized transport, effectively. Light artillery on horse transport. And then there's machine gunners. Then there's just different types of tanks. And then there's a bunch of different types of motorized, because you have all of those motorized and mechanized variants to your stuff. And there's armored cars, which is in the armor stuff. And then there's even tachanki. If you know what a tachanka is, you're a good man. So that's hilarious. Yeah, that's about it. So obviously there's too much stuff, but I guess it would be fun to just try. And then there's, guess what, even more stuff in terms of like the equipment types, because guess what all of this is? This is all experimental weapons. Unique, you could say, what was... Damn, I should have looked this up. What's the cheat for instant research? I always forget this one. It must be something like either research.autocomplete. No, that's the focuses. Research. Oh, research and icon click. Okay. So now we can research things. Oh no, this is focuses, never mind. So yes, I should have done focus.autocomplete. And research on icon click, we can take all of this, and some of these are actually dependent on events. So for example, this is, yes, it's the anti-tank dogs, which is a real thing that the Soviets tried to do. There's a 50% chance that nothing happens, and there's a 50% chance that we get the technology. So like if we let the game run, we didn't get it. Then there's things that do events, but obviously since I'm using bloody focus.autocomplete, it's not gonna give me the events. Oh no, it is. So like for example, this is the like experiments on a Visoko manevrienova. So a high maneuver, yeah, with like a biplane fighter with extreme maneuverability. Damn, the Russian language. And we can choose different things, either и все таки будущее за монопланами. So like we can either say the future is like monoplanes anyway, or we could say a great idea, and we have a chance of getting the high maneuver biplane fighter 1 tech. And we got it. We got the I-190 that we can see. Obviously it's nowhere to be seen, but we can produce the I-190 plane. Where the fuck is it? Hello? Ah, it seems like the UI is bugged. God damn it, this was about to be really cool. Oh no, there it is. Высокоманеврированный истребитель биплан. Man, I'm not even sure if it's better or worse than what I already have, but yeah, it's got 70 maneuver as opposed to 50, so I guess it's not gonna die all that much. Maneuver is agility, obviously. Then this one is the Slostin machine gun, and it's like a multi-barreled machine gun, or say, sounds like a seems like this toy is too expensive, essentially, and that's for the army experience. So you can get all of these. Like, you know, they're just like, do you want to do ridiculous projects, or do you want to have army experience? And that was only a 30% chance to get it, so obviously we did not get it. And there is the super heavy aircraft Kalinin 7. You can see that aircraft is big, and there's a top secret thing just stamped all over it. So we can either say, let's use it as a strategic bomber, and maybe we get it, there's a 30% chance. Use it as a transport, and we get a super heavy transport. Transfer the experience that you gained in the research and the experimentation to other machines. So we get a 50% bonus to heavy aircraft and 50 Air Force experience. Or we can get 15 propaganda points by saying we can use the aircraft for propaganda aims. So you can see that these are just like all interconnected, and it's all awesome, but it's just so much of it, and it's only in Russian. So yeah, this is just like, can we get that strategic bomber? Thank you. Fuck you. I wanted that. Судьба матч. Один из лидеров клики китайских милитаристов ма перебежал к нам и выражает готовность сотрудничать. So apparently a Ma clique member wants to, you know, like serve in the Soviet army. But it's a big question whether he can be trusted. So we can either shoot him on sight, we can either give... Oh, it's Ma Zhong-ying! Oh, this is an interesting historical figure, but we don't have time to talk about him. So we can either send him to Xinjiang, shoot him, or say he will be our agent. He will be our agent in the region, and that can have some consequences for Shibei Sanma. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that there's a bunch of new events related to all the decisions and all the focus trees. Well, I already did kind of say that, but yeah. And some countries have more events than others, but you know, they're all pretty cool. And yeah, like, other than like all the ridiculous secret projects that we already saw, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them. It's insane. So there's like land battleships. There is, I don't even know what this is. Butilka Miot. I don't even know what a Butilka Miot is. It's a bottle launcher? A Butilka is a bottle. And something, a Miot is a launcher. But I have no idea what a bottle launcher might be. It's probably something ridiculous. It's probably like a euphemism, you know, to make it secret. Yeah, there's like, I don't know, military motorcycles, teletanks, which are like radio controlled tanks, which is just hilarious. Rocket tanks. Samochodnej nazwijmy torpedy. It's a rail torpedo. I don't even know how do you make that work in Hearts of Iron 4. This is a really cool weapon, by the way. The rail, like, self-propelled rail torpedoes. The Soviets essentially used it, like, launched it at advancing, like, you know, German trains on rail lines to blow up the train and the rail line. It's hilarious. So there's just so many different, like, flavors of stuff. It's insane. A wooden CAS, a wooden close air support. So yeah, you can see that there's just so much stuff. There's even, this is hilarious. This is a, like, I don't even say, it's called like a parasite aircraft in English or something. It's just a big bomber with like 3 or 5 fighters attached to it, and they detach and go bomb stuff. And they use, like, the Soviets did try to use it in the Second World War. And then, like, obviously, the Soviets and Germany have most of this. Like, for example, the Germans have all their Wonder Waffles. There is Panzer X. I don't even know what that is. There's the Ratte. Because why the fuck not? There's the Goliath. You know, all these stuff. You know what to expect. It's just hilarious. It's just hilarious. The Americans have weird stuff, too. Ha ha ha, obviously America has nothing. You can see some of the Russian chauvinism sometimes and anti-Americanism. Yeah, Britain has nothing, unfortunately. But it would be great if they did, like, add ridiculous super weapons to the Allied powers. The historical ones, at least. Does Japan even have, like, their ridiculous stuff? Well, no, but, like, their most ridiculous weapon is already in the game. Oh no, there is some ridiculous stuff. There's the Shinano aircraft carrier. There's the Kitakami cruiser, which was already in HOI4. But yeah, like, you get the deal. You get the deal. This is Russian Black Ice. If you want, try it. I'll put the link in the description. Have some fun with it.